So it's another beautiful day today. A little cloudy, but not too bad. Batteries are charging fine. Last night I had to run the generator, I told you, because we bought some meat and we had to freeze it, so we always have to run the generator on cloudy days. Yesterday was a cloudy day, so we ran it overnight. You know, it's less than $4, so you just add that onto your food cost. We spent $164 or $168, so add another $4, not too bad. So I've been telling you the differences between preppers slash stockpilers and off-gridders like myself, self-sustaining lifestyle, or at least as much as possible. Those who don't understand what off-grid, the definition of off-grid is, it doesn't mean that I've disconnected from society. It means that I've disconnected from the power lines and the water lines. That's what even Google says. What I have noticed is these preppers continuously talk about stockpiling, and that when SHTF hits the fan, you know, the stuff hits the fan, that they are going to be able to survive. Well, I guess my definition of SHTF is a lot different than preppers, because in my mind, SHTF means basically the end of society, normal society, what we're used to having, the conveniences. Electric goes down, never comes back on. No grocery stores, and you have to survive on your own. And I keep talking about the 4 things you need to survive SHTF: food, water, shelter, and defense. You have those 4 things and you'll make it just fine. Well, of course, we got the chickens, and we've got our shelter, we've got a well that we can run off our solar panels, and then I feel like we're well defended. If you have those, you don't need to stockpile, because it's just not going to last. You're going to last however long your stockpile lasts, and then it's over. Either they're not brave enough to say it on YouTube, or they don't think about it. What is your plan after that? The only thing I can think is, if you're stockpiling, as you start running low on your stockpile, you're going to have to go scavenge and steal from people who have their own stockpile. That's the only way to make it, because you're not going to have any seeds, not if you're stockpiling. In my opinion, seeds, growing gardens, is not self-sustaining. You're not going to be able to live off vegetables regardless of what people tell us. You cannot be a vegetarian and survive. More and more people are getting sick from being vegetarians or vegans. We eat a carnivorous diet, whether you agree with that or not. You got to have meat. The only way I know how to grow meat is easily and cheaply is chickens. I can reproduce the chickens with our incubator. Ducks. Now, ducks are a little bit harder to incubate. They require a more controlled condition. I think with our incubator, we could actually raise ducks now. And then rabbits. Rabbits produce pretty good. The only problem with rabbits is you only get one source of food from them, which is meat. With chickens, I can get meat and eggs. Depending on your definition of a recession, we are in a recession now. So we have high inflation, record high inflation. We're in a recession. People are going to start to suffer. People are going to really be struggling. Now, we know from the last 2 recessions that we had one in 03, and then we had one in 08. In my mind, the one in 08 was a lot worse. People were losing their homes. And by the time I noticed what was going on, I'd already recovered from it. I got a job. Things were getting better. We decided that we were going to be nomads at some point. Now, I got a story behind this. I just watched a prepper channel, and he was telling people things are going to get bad. I agree with him. I actually like this prepper. I don't think he's a prepper. He is more self-sustaining than most of these YouTube preppers that I watch. I mean, he has firewood, and he grows food. I think he's more self-sustaining. I think he's got a handle on it. As a warning, he tells people things are going to get rough, and we need to start watching out for it. So he's saying that people need to go to national forests and state parks if they lose their home. That's where they need to go. Well, the same thing happened in 08. As people were losing their homes, they got in their vans, they got in their RVs, and they went in a national forest. Right before Carolyn and I actually decided to just sell everything and go travel. And so we started staying in a national forest. We thought this was a brilliant idea. It was freedom on the road. And it was the worst thing that we had ever done. If you're thinking about, what am I going to do if I can't afford my rent anymore? Maybe I'll go buy a cheap van and go from national forest to national forest, state park to state park, conservation area to conservation area. I got a story for you. It's terrible. People will lie to you. For whatever reason, these YouTubers, the nomadic community YouTubers, are a bunch of liars. We traveled, I think, for 3 years, and you can go back and look at my videos. As a matter of fact, at the end of this video, I'm going to link a video to the one that was pretty popular. But all my videos, I was discussing about the downside of nomadic lifestyle. Carolyn and I, although we enjoyed seeing the beautiful sights, and we have a lot of fond memories, there were a lot of things that just was terrible about it. You have to learn all kinds of things while you're out there that you're not accustomed to right now. But the first thing you got to know is each national forest rules. So you're constantly researching. So that means you got to have internet. Whether you want to or not, you got to have internet so you can research, well, Florida's national forest rules are different than Missouri's national forest rules. Some of these places don't have internet, so you got to find places that you can get a connection off your phone. It's just a constant nightmare trying to stay connected so you can figure out where you're going to go next. So here you are broke and struggling, and you're having to stay connected. You can't shut off the internet. I can shut off the internet here. I don't have to have it. If I go broke, I don't have to have internet because I can stay here. I don't have to move. So you get yourself a used van and you start going to the national forest or a pop-up camper. That's what we started out in. And boy, we really had a good time when we first started. We went to Mississippi and Tennessee, over to Virginia, and then we went back down to South Carolina and Florida. And in Florida, we stayed our first winter. Now, we bought a pass, a year-long pass. And on the pass, it said it gave you the ability to stay there for an extended period of time. So what it is, you could stay there through deer season. Deer season was 3 months long, so you could stay there. Then we got the pass, and we thought we were pretty safe. Well, 2 weeks after deer season, the ranger comes out, and he says, you have to leave. You've been here longer than 2 weeks. So we showed him the pass. He says, no, that's not what it means. Well, what does it mean? And it really didn't mean anything. It means if you went to the other side of the forest, they have a shower over there that you could pay to get. Well, you could get a shower over there with that permit for free. So we paid 20 bucks for a shower that we were nowhere near. That's what he said it meant. He said, well, I'll give you another 2 weeks to pack up your things and get out of here. He was nice about it, but we had to leave. And he said he had gotten a complaint. About 3 or 4 days later, we went into the ranger's office to see about doing campsite hosting, cleaning bathrooms, different things. When we returned, someone burned down our camper. Turned out it was a mentally ill guy. He was upset that we got to stay longer than he got to stay. You know, he got booted. Well, I guess he didn't realize we got booted too. So he was angry. So he took it out on us. And nothing got better from that point forward. We built the truck camper. My dad happened to be pretty close by, so we went over to Dad's house, stayed in his driveway. We built the truck camper, and we started traveling again. It just never got better. I was always scared. The whole time, I was scared of something happening. The truck breaking down, the camper falling apart, getting kicked out, losing internet, or safety, somebody doing something to us. We would go on walks. Now imagine this. You're out in the middle of the forest. The only connection you have to anybody is your cell phone. And so we would go out on walks on trails. Now you would think that would be great, but the whole time I was walking, I'd be a nervous wreck. Scared to death that when I got back, the truck would be gone, the camper would be gone, it'd be on fire. Every place we went was a disaster area. Everywhere we went, it smelled bad. When we were in Florida, there was this old guy that lived there. And somehow he was able to avoid the rules for the longest time. Well, eventually, he got in trouble and they had kicked him out. Well, he made it a home out there in the national forest. Some drunk, I mean, he'd come over and start yelling at you, just screaming and yelling, but he'd be drunk. Of course, they do their drugs out there. You never got any restful sleep because you got this drunk yelling at you. Generators running all night, hooting and hollering, partying. And they do have rules, but nobody ever enforces them until somebody complains. Well, they're not going to come out in the middle of the night. It's not like the police department. They're going to come out when they can have a chance. As a matter of fact, when they burned down my camper, the ranger for that forest was in training in Georgia. So he wasn't even able to come out and investigate. When he got kicked out, when this guy, the old man, got kicked out finally, he took all his stuff and he threw it out in the forest. All of it. Even his motorcycle. He had a motorcycle that didn't run. And it was just a junkyard. He turned it into a junkyard. Well, that place smelled like urine, terribly bad. Well, then finally we went over to Utah. When we got to Utah, the first place we stopped at, somebody left, probably got kicked out is my guess, after weeks and weeks and weeks of being there, got kicked out. And they just, trash everywhere. I mean, all kinds of trash. Just junk and human waste everywhere. They just squatted wherever they felt like it and squatted there, and toilet paper laying on top of it. Well, we drove up the hill and found a cleaner place. It smelled like human waste also. Now, he did a little bit better job of covering it up with sand, but the toilet paper was still laying there. It was just constantly nasty and disgusting. And it's not a way that anybody should live. Now, I know what you're going to say is, well, if you lose your home, what other choice do you have? Well, right now, if you still have a home, you still have stuff, you still have a car, you still have things. In yesterday's video, I was telling you that you need to find a place like this. Instead of waiting until it's too late and you don't have any money to pay next month's rent, start saving up right this minute. Sell everything you have. This is my suggestion. Don't go live in a park. It's a bad idea. Do it now. Start selling your stuff, whatever extras you got, everything. Get about $15,000 saved up. You should be able to sell enough stuff to get $15,000. Maybe your car, you don't need the car anymore. Maybe you got a new car that you can't afford the payment on anymore. Get yourself an old junker, and then find yourself a piece of property. Buy yourself a shed from Home Depot, put it on your property, and live in it. Carolyn threw out several ideas. Maybe your parents or your family members have a piece of property that you could maybe get a shed and park in the back. Pay your rent, hook up some electric, or even to get solar panels. That way you don't even have to buy the property, you just have to buy the shed. Or maybe they'll let you park in the back with an RV. Again, you could hook up to their electric or get solar panels. You got the water, and you pay your fair share. I mean, you pay your rent. The times are getting ready to get tough, and instead of waiting for it to hit you and you have no plans of action, just do it now. Just expect it to be bad, and then you're not going to be able to get through it. So if you'll click that video right here, it's a little pop-up, I appreciate it. Take you over to the other one. You can see how bad places can get. I hope I can inspire you to plan ahead so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.